There's no doubt that cars and racing have become a lot more popular in recent years, especially with the explosion of popularity of Formula One. Now, if you suddenly want to dip your toes into racing or want to try out racing in general, there are a lot of avenues to do so. For those of you guys who are a bit younger, you could try go-karting. I mean, that's where most Formula One drivers started. Those a bit older can consider circuit racing. There are various events across the country, from the Toyota Gazoo Racing Philippine Cup and even the Mayada Cup, which you can join. But then again, there's one thing we all need if we want to go racing: money. A lot of it. I'm talking literally millions, and there's no other way around it. You really need to spend if you want to dip your toes or at least be a professional racer. Thankfully, if you're on a budget just like we are here at the Yuga Tech studio, there are other avenues you can try out racing. And one of them is through sim racing. It's the next best way to get an adrenaline rush, and it's even more affordable than trying to get into go-karting or even grassroots circuit racing. Best of all, anyone can do it safely and comfortably from their own homes. So if you've been considering sim racing or setting up your own sim racing rig at home, in this video we're going to be talking all about that and everything else that you need to know to get ready for sim racing. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the wheels, the pedals, and the peripherals surrounding it in this video. So stay tuned. Of course, when setting up a sim rig, the first thing we need to talk about is the budget. If you happen to be one of our viewers who has only budget, then by all means, go all out and buy the best that you can offer. I mean, what's stopping you? Money's only paper, right? But then again, those can run you up to 7 digits depending on what setup you choose, so it's still gonna cost a lot. Unfortunately, if you're like the rest of us here at the Yuga Tech studio, we don't have that kind of budget. For reference, the budget we're talking about is just for the sim rig alone, and we're not talking about the computer, the monitors, and all other peripherals you might need to do so. Thankfully, anyone can get started without having to spend over 20,000 pesos. For those who have a budget of around 10 to 15,000 pesos, you can consider the Logitech G29 or the Trustmaster T150, which are readily available in the market today, whether you go to DataBlitz or other computer shops. If that's still a bit too expensive for you, then maybe try your luck in the used market. In terms of the gear, it's a bit basic and you do get what you pay for. So if you've tried out a more expensive sim, you won't feel the same. However, it's a great way to see if you want to continue sim racing or, it might just be a fad and eventually it'll just be a paperweight. At least that way, you won't have to feel too bad since you didn't spend that much money. Alternatively, you can allocate a bit more money, something around 15,000 pesos for something like the Trustmaster T300, and that will give you a much better feel without having to break into the bank. Now, if you want to move up from there, that's when you get into the more affordable direct drive models like the Moza series, which roughly starts at around 20,000 pesos. Now, if we're talking unlimited budgets, that's where the big name players come in, like the Fanatec Podium series. You can even get a motion rig to simulate the G-forces from cornering, braking, and shifting, as well as a VR headset. To give you an idea though, most motion rigs starts at around 150,000 and up. And that's for the basic setup. If you want to get something similar to the ones that Formula One drivers use, well, prepare to shell out a lot more. Not to mention, when you get the motion rig, usually those don't include the peripherals like the wheels or the pedals or the shifter and everything else. So all of that do add up. And when you do add them together, they become a lot more. And mind you, if you don't have a PC or even a console yet, you'll have to factor those in as well. But you're probably wondering, what's the difference between an affordable wheel setup and something that's more high-end? I mean, you're paying a big difference in terms of money after all. Well, it all comes down to driver feel and feedback. There are two main differences between a budget wheel and a high-end wheel setup. Most budget wheel bases use either a gear or a belt-driven setup and sometimes a combination of both. Meanwhile, the high-end ones use a direct drive setup. With a belt-driven setup, as the name suggests, it uses belts and gears to transfer power to the steering wheel. It's a cost-effective way of doing things, and depending on the model, you can get some decent feedback. However, it doesn't feel as complete as compared to a direct drive system, since there is a bit of dampening and there might be some delay when you input your steering wheel movements. In comparison, the direct drive system has the motor directly connected to the steering wheel shaft. As such, you get better feel and stronger force feedback similar to driving a real car. There's no delay, which gives users a more realistic and immersive experience. There are also more parameters you can adjust in the settings depending on the model you're using. There are also more options for users out there, allowing for better customizability. So you can change the wheel, you can change the pedals, and a lot more. I mean, just check out the BMW M4 GT3 steering wheel. It's a steering wheel mostly made by Fanatec, and it's something you can use on the sim rig and the actual race car. And it's not just limited to the wheelbases too. There's a big difference in terms of the feel when you're using a budget pedal set as compared to a high-end one. Budget-friendly options typically use a potentiometer sensor to measure the pedal travel, and there's little to no calibration available. So while it is decent, they're not exactly the most accurate, or at least gives you the most accurate feedback of how the car is performing on the track. There are ways to improve this slightly by modding the wheel, but that's another rabbit hole we're gonna go into, which I'll talk about in a different video if you guys enjoyed this video. If you opt for a high-end setup, these typically use load cells or the actual pressure being input to measure the readout, giving users a more realistic driving feel. More importantly, the benefit of having a load cell setup allows the users to choose to increase or decrease the force feedback needed for braking, similar to as if you were driving a real car. With this, sim racers can improve their lap times a lot more easily, and these skills can easily be transferred over to that actual car should they choose to go into real racing in the future. Now, at the end of the day, the question remains, which one is for you? Of course, if budget isn't a problem, then I would highly recommend you get the most expensive one out there. Now, the motion sim, well, that's completely optional, but if you want to get a fully immersive racing experience, I highly recommend you do so. But maybe we're just dipping our toes into sim racing and we're not really sure if we want to get into it completely. Well, then the budget setup works. At least at the end of the day, the money isn't that big and no one will really regret spending 10 to 15,000 on a sim rig. Not to mention, you can easily resell those for more or less the same value. I mean, you do lose a bit of money, but it's not that bad. Thankfully, most people can try them out before even buying them. Given the spike of popularity in Formula One, there are a lot of cafes and sim arcades that are popping up across the country. Just head on to one of them, try it out, and see if it's for you. If you want to try out the budget setup, you can go to the malls, and sometimes they may have setups available for you to try out. And those are the ones you can already buy off the shelf without having to go through a bunch of other setups needed. Now, do note that for the sim arcades, you might have to pay a bit to try them out. But again, what's 300 pesos as compared to setting up a 20 or 30,000 or even more sim rig at home that you may not even enjoy in the future? The great thing about building a sim rig is that it's easily customizable to your liking. Want F1? Then get a wheel that has similar style to what F1 drivers use. Into drifting? Then maybe get 3 pedals, a shifter, and even a handbrake. And the list goes on, and you can do a lot more. Whatever you want, how you want it. The combinations are virtually limitless. In fact, the only thing that'll limit you is your wallet. By the way, if you guys are interested in any of these products that you've seen in this video, these were all supplied by Apex Racing Philippines. So if you want, you can go check them out. Overall, there's no right or wrong way to build a sim racing rig or even getting into sim racing. If anything, I would suggest that just dive right into it. As I mentioned earlier, there are various places across the country where you can try it out for yourself and see whether or not sim racing might be something we want to try out as a new hobby this 2026. There's also a large esports community where everyone can race and compete with other people all over the world. Even locally, people hold events where they can try out their skills and see how they fare against other drivers in the country. Heck, you can even potentially represent the country in some future races. For example, Toyota hosts the GRGT Cup Philippines, offering participants the opportunity to compete on the international stage while representing their country. And as someone who's competed there, I can say that even if you have a budget setup, you can go toe-to-toe with some of the best drivers that Asia has to offer, or even the world. In addition, sim racing could also be a gateway into real motorsports. Just look at Max Verstappen when he competed at the Nürburgring in GT3. His teammate Chris Lulham, a pro sim racer. But overall, what do you guys think of sim racing and possibly building a sim rig at home? Would you pick it up as a hobby this 2026? Or is it something still a bit too expensive for you? Whatever the case, share your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like and subscribe to watch more. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms, that's Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. And of course, visit yogatech.com for the latest tech news and reviews. Once again, this has been Jose. I'll see you guys in the next one.